Imagine a con so audacious, so utterly bizarre, that a man convinced hundreds of people to abandon their lives, invest their fortunes, and sail across the ocean to an entire country that simply didn't exist. This isn't fiction. And the newly independent nations of Latin America beckoned with promises of untapped riches. A new breed of adventurer emerged, and freedom in an exotic, uncharted land, luring desperate souls to their tragic fate. Among them was Gregor MacGregor, a Scottish soldier of fortune, whose ambition far outstripped his talent, but whose audacity was unparalleled. He would orchestrate one of history's most astounding and tragic deceptions, convincing hundreds of eager investors and settlers that he was the Cacique of a vast, resource-rich, and utterly fictional nation called Poyais. His tale is a chilling reminder of how persuasive deception can be, and the devastating cost of an invented reality. This is the unbelievable true story of the man who faked an entire kingdom, Gregor MacGregor and the Kingdom of Poyais, the fictional kingdom. MacGregor claimed to be the hereditary Cacique of the Principality of Poyais, a vast, fertile territory located on the Mosquito coast. His invented title and fabricated lineage lent him an air of exotic authority, appealing to a British public fascinated by foreign lands. He painted a picture of a land blessed with rich gold mines, dense forests of valuable timber, fertile agricultural plains, and a benevolent, if somewhat primitive, indigenous population. In the early 19th century, as Europe emerged from the Napoleonic Wars, this elaborate fraud wasn't just about selling land. It was about selling a dream, a vision of prosperity. Middle-class individuals, small farmers, artisans, and professionals all seeking cheap land, quick fortunes, and a fresh start were particularly vulnerable to his enticing promises. Selling land and bonds, MacGregor successfully sold thousands of acres of Poyaisian land certificates and issued Poyaisian government bonds in London, raising an estimated £200,000. He even managed to secure a loan from the Bank of England for his nation. This book, filled with intricate maps, glowing descriptions of natural resources, and accounts of a bustling capital city called St. Joseph, was a complete fabrication. Doctors, lawyers, carpenters, tailors, farmers all were convinced to sell their possessions, pack their lives, and embark on a new adventure in the promised land of Poyais. And the Kennersley Castle set sail from London and Leith, Scotland, carrying around 250 hopeful colonists. Arrival at the Mosquito Coast. Upon arrival at the designated location on the Mosquito Coast, in early 1823, the settlers found no thriving capital city, no cultivated fields, no infrastructure, and no welcoming government. And exposed to malaria, yellow fever, and dysentery, the settlers began to die rapidly. Within months, the vast majority perished from disease, starvation, and exposure. A few desperate survivors eventually managed to make their way to nearby Belize, where they finally exposed the fraud. Instead, they found only dense, uninhabited, disease-ridden jungle and swampland. There was nothing there but wilderness, and the horrifying realization that they had been utterly deceived. He described a functioning government, a national bank, currency, and even a standing army. MacGregor's story stands as a bizarre and dark chapter in the annals of human credulity and the lengths to which ambition can lead. MacGregor's escape. Faced with arrest warrants, MacGregor fled to France, where he incredibly attempted to launch a similar Poyais scheme, even managing to sell more land and bonds before French authorities intervened and imprisoned him. It stands as a chilling testament to the human susceptibility to greed and desperation. After the Napoleonic Wars, he sought his fortune in the newly independent Spanish-American republics, briefly serving under Simon Bolivar in the Venezuelan War of Independence, where he achieved minor military distinction. He managed to evade serious long-term punishment and later attempted other similar fraudulent schemes, though none matched the scale or tragic outcome of Poyais. Enduring allure. The sheer audacity of MacGregor's invention, coupled with the horrific human tragedy, ensures that the story of the man who faked an entire kingdom continues to fascinate and appall historians and the public alike. He lived out his later years somewhat obscurely in Venezuela, still claiming his grand titles. He conceived of the ingenious idea of inventing an entire country, Poyais. He conjured an entire nation from thin air, not with military might, but with persuasive lies and meticulously crafted propaganda. The Kingdom of Poyais was a phantom, yet its allure was tragically real for hundreds of desperate souls who sought a new beginning. MacGregor, the Prince of Swindlers, orchestrated a fatal dream, reminding us that sometimes the greatest dangers lurk not in the wilderness, but in the seductive promises of an utterly fabricated reality. Part 1. The Cacique of Poyais. A bold invention. Gregor MacGregor was a former British Army officer whose military career had been largely unremarkable. It was upon his return to London, however, that MacGregor's true genius for deception would emerge. 1-2. The persona. He cultivated an image of a dashing, experienced leader, often appearing in a flamboyant uniform and spinning tales of his exploits. Part 2. Selling a non-existent nation. The grand deception. MacGregor executed his deception with remarkable sophistication, leveraging the prevailing enthusiasm for overseas investment. 1. Elaborate propaganda. He published highly detailed and enticing promotional materials, including a lavish 350-page guidebook, sketch of the Mosquito shore, including the territory of Poyais. 2. Target audience. His primary targets were British and French investors, eager for new opportunities after the economic disruption of the Napoleonic Wars. 4. Recruiting settlers. Not content with just selling land, he actively recruited hundreds of settlers. Part 3. The Voyage to Nowhere. A horrific reality. The grand deception culminated in the tragic voyages of the first ships carrying eager settlers to Poyais. 1. First ships depart. In the autumn of 1822, the first two ships, the Honduras Packet II. 3. Mass casualties. The conditions were appalling, without proper shelter, food, or medical supplies. Part 4. Exposure and subsequent schemes. The return of the emaciated and traumatized survivors sparked outrage in Britain, leading to a public scandal that shocked the nation. 1. Public outcry. Newspapers widely reported the horrific fate of the Poyais settlers, condemning MacGregor as a heartless swindler. 3. Continued confidence tricks. Despite his notoriety, MacGregor proved incorrigible. Part 5. Legacy of the Prince of Swindlers. The Kingdom of Poyais remains one of history's most infamous examples of grand financial fraud and audacious deception. 1. Human cost. Its legacy is tragic, marked by the hundreds of lives lost, families ruined, and dreams shattered. 2. Cautionary tale. The Poyais scheme became a cautionary tale for investors and aspiring immigrants, damaging trust in overseas ventures for years. 3. Conclusion. A phantom nation and a fatal dream. Gregor MacGregor's tale is a dark masterpiece of deception, a bizarre and chilling footnote in an age of exploration and expansion. He conjured an entire nation from thin air, not with military might, but with persuasive lies and meticulously crafted propaganda. The Kingdom of Poyais was a phantom, yet its allure was tragically real for hundreds of desperate souls who sought a new beginning. MacGregor, the Prince of Swindlers, orchestrated a fatal dream, reminding us that sometimes the greatest dangers lurk not in the wilderness, but in the seductive promises of an utterly fabricated reality.